Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto's News. It's me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto. It's been a hot minute since I do a video for you guys, and I'm super sorry about that, especially for those of you guys who are still tipping through Patreon. Dude, thank you so much. You gave me that Monero tip. I had mentioned that I hadn't gotten a crypto tip in forever. He's like, that's not true. I tipped you Monero, and I checked, and it was true. I just, don't check that wallet very often. And also thank you, Michael Devin, for your tip. And he's been like always doing that. And yeah, those of you guys who've long time been doing like contributions to the show super weigh on me as well, and who reach out and say, hey, when are you gonna do a video? Renee. So yeah, I just wanted to do a quick video. I haven't been super on a daily level catching up with crypto. It's just been kind of busy for me, and just bad habits, right? Like that I'm trying to correct. Going to sleep way too late and waking up way too late, and then having to go to work and then not really have time for the videos. So I'm trying to make an effort to go to sleep earlier, so I wake up earlier and I have more time for that kind of thing. And yeah, I had a concert, like I mentioned. I had an orchestral concert, played percussion. It went well, and that was why I didn't do a video on the last Wednesday. But just like a quick car video, I should probably get a new mount for my car, since I'm currently holding my phone, and it's not the safest thing to be doing. I know that, but there's not here in Texas nearly as much crazy traffic as in LA and Miami. I will mention that, so it's all right. I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road. So anyway, some housekeeping stuff to stay there, but yeah, everything is good with me. It's been nice to see crypto moving up again finally. It's so weird, right? Because I'll just check the price and be like, wow, it's going up again. That's pretty nice. Look over the last few months, look over the last year. Wow, that's pretty nice. And I'm primarily just like ETH and Bitcoin right now, as I mentioned before. But then like I decided to check some of the message boards, see what some of the ETH people are saying. There's just so much jealousy about this Salana chick. Okay, she's not a chick, she's a coin. Still starts with a C though. Anyway, Salana, I guess, has performed a lot better. Like, even though it has a pretty high market cap, it's up 36% over the last 7 days. Pretty nice to see that happen. I think people are trying to figure out why that could be the case. The one that I can find seems to be the most salient point is that Salana has more of an aim for L1 or layer 1 scaling, whereas Ethereum has moved more to try to scale via rollups, layer 2, which I'll have to admit, I'm more of the layer 1 kind of scaling crowd myself. Initially, when I was pitched Ethereum and following Ethereum for years, that was the primary plan, is that layer 1 would scale beyond whatever 17 transactions per second it was to thousands of transactions per second, not having to go through extra steps of layer 2s. At the end of the day, I think for like a native crypto person, it does add more friction. Potentially more gas payments and fee payments you would have to do, even if they're small. Eventually, with different improvements to Ethereum that are being worked on, I think that it's still more friction. It's nice to just have it native, right? I think that was one of the reasons that I really liked Ethereum versus Bitcoin, especially early on, was it had a much higher throughput versus having to wait for many confirmations for Bitcoin, each 10 minutes apart, to take place before transaction was finalized. In some cases, like paying a merchant, it just went through so quickly, it seemed like, with Ethereum. And that to me was a huge bonus that you will not be seeing necessarily with the current, I think, plans for Ethereum. I mean, nothing is set in stone. These are rapidly evolving systems. There is something to be said about ossification. So ossification, if you're not too familiar with the term, is just when something like solidifies in place more and more. So you think about Bitcoin and how it's more and more difficult to really change much about Bitcoin. And the same kind of thing may be happening on a longer trend with Ethereum, and probably other coins as well. They're just newer, where it gets harder to make huge changes to the system, especially to try to prevent money losses and exploits that were unforeseen. The more changes, the more likely you're going to have bugs and problems and lose people's money. So better to keep things a little bit more static in the longer term, especially when you have a more and more people, more and more dollars, euros, whatever, you know what I mean, fiat money, as people still gauge it by, that is locked into that ecosystem. You don't want to risk that kind of thing happening. So yeah, I think because Salana is more of a layer one scaling solution, I think that's what people are still rooting for Salana, and it still managed to survive despite so much downtime. It still has enough interest from the general crowd that I think people are starting to say it's not going away, and it might have more legs since it has a lower market cap substantially than something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, that it could be something to have in your portfolio at this time. So I'm just trying to figure out why like some of this negativity is going around, like, hey, how come we're not going up as much? Well, guess what, guys, we still are going up, and I still think that a lot of the disinflationary solutions, we could call them, for Ethereum still exist and will, if as time continues to happen and it continues to show its trust, show itself in the price. We managed to break over 2,000, over 2,100 for Ethereum, and that was nice. We've been stuck below that for a lot. It seemed like that was a real psychological price point. Once we hit 2,100, you had folks saying, see, 3,000 is the next point. If we break like 2,100, 2,200, 3,000, it's going to be just straight up there. That didn't happen, and today we're down to like 1967, back in the almost the 70s, man. We're in the 60s, 1960s here for Ethereum. And Bitcoin has managed to hold up, although it's below 35,000. It's around $34,000 while I'm making this video. And part of that was driven, well, part of the pump that was driven this past week, if you weren't following economics news and all that, was basically that inflation came in at like 0% month over month. And that meant that the Fed wasn't likely to continue to raise rates. Obviously they're basically not raising rates again. They're going to be pausing here, it looks like, indefinitely. Maybe they've won the war on inflation, and if they're pausing, well, guess what's the next step? If they already won the war on inflation, we're at 0%, they still want to get back to 2%, baby. They're going to have to lower rates, good for assets like stocks. You saw a huge bump in stocks, crypto assets as well, risk assets, and so this could be a potential bottom out for these kind of risk assets here. And so you saw YOLO into these kinds of investments. I think that's probably the primary reason that you saw these bumps. Now, Bitcoin specifically, a lot of ETF hype, Blackrock and so on. So the reason we dropped in Bitcoin today, probably dropped the whole market, was the announcement that the Blackrock, no, it wasn't the Blackrock ETF, it was some other ETF. I can't remember the name right now. It starts with an N, I believe, or an H. Am I dyslexic? No, I'm not dyslexic. I don't know. But anyway, I didn't pay attention. I'm sorry. Sue me. You can look it up for yourself. But anyway, it was an ETF. They were trying to convert from a futures ETF to a spot ETF. And that was delayed by the SEC. The decision on that was due today. And so that's just postponed. The BlackRock one, no, I have not heard about that. The only thing in relation to BlackRock was like, everyone's saying they're going to be the first one to pass. So don't expect anything else to pass before BlackRock, right? Like, that is Wall Street, and they're going to get their baby out there first. If you guys know about the open door and how things work between politicians, regulatory agencies, and corporations, financial corporations who hire eventual politicians who are promised jobs after they leave office, then you are probably aware of why BlackRock might get their ETF to pass first. But anyway, BlackShares announced officially, this was not really rumored because there was already paperwork that had been shown in the past week, that they were going to be filing for an Ethereum ETF. So this is following their Bitcoin ETF plans, and this in fact was officially announced by BlackRock that had refused to announce that news earlier when this was coming out. So they are officially trying to get an Ethereum ETF out there. So that gave a bump up to Ethereum. That's but pushed it quite up there. Well, no, actually it hasn't pushed up there. I think that's probably why it didn't drop off as much. It actually had dropped lower than 1967, but climbed back up a little bit. So maybe we'll break 2000 again. I think as a trader, taking like a medium term long position on Ethereum would be smart. Now, I'm not a trader. Again, I'm an investor. I'm thinking more longer term here. But if I was somebody who's trying to YOLO into things and swing trade and things, this might be an interesting one, because like you've seen with Bitcoin hype, especially getting around announcements where we're either going to get an approval or suspension. The SEC has 240 days total, counting delays that they can do before they have to yay or nay something. That basically there's going to be a lot of opportunity here for Ethereum volatility going forward. I think it'll end up on the upside. We'll see what happens at the eventual announcement of news. I don't know that people are saying that the Bitcoin ETF stuff is definitely going to be a sell the news thing. That's what this pump has been about. That basically we're going to see a sell-off when the ETF does get passed. That we're not. Some folks are actually saying that we're not going to see a sell-off, so don't believe that. I actually still think that sell the news is totally in play here, probably. But anyway, I think there is going to ultimately result a higher price in these assets by when these ETFs were filed for registration and when they either approved or not. So still, I think these are great times to be involved in crypto. There was a podcast on Blackrock's Macro that I was listening to recently, I think their most recent, and that gentleman was talking about how in this coming era, something like, well, we're going to see basically monetary inflation, because as the nation's GDP, as their nation's debt grows, that means that liquidity needs to grow as well. That means that you're going to see monetary inflation, and that tends to benefit assets like gold, like 1x, but you're going to see like exponentially higher in cryptos. That's what you see with liquidity injection. So like a 5x relative to gold, and you need to be hedged against monetary inflation for what's coming in the future. So anyway, that's some of the thoughts that I'm thinking about right now. SBF finally getting sentenced. I don't know that I remarked on that, but yeah, I can talk more about that if you guys want to know my thoughts in a future video. Just let me know down in the comments below. Wednesday, I do hope to get back to my regular live streaming. And again, thank you guys so much for the patience. I appreciate y'all so very much. And I do always value your thoughts and opinions. So let me know what you guys would like to hear more about, what you're thinking about in this market. And I hope you have a nice day. Take care, everyone. Remember to hit the like button if you appreciate these kinds of videos, and subscribe. Peace.